出会いに色はなくてモノクロ吹き抜ける涼しい終わることのない悲しみがあなた奪ってもだから早く一瞬ふら溺れてごらん
Yes, guys, you saw it. We are talking about every single season of Black Butler from season 1 all the way to Book of Atlanta. Now, there's a couple things. First of all, I can't talk about every single episode from every single series. So what I'm basically going to do, there's going to be, footage playing from, like Book of Circus and season 1 and so on and so forth. I might break it up. I might keep it the same in the video. I don't know. But this is what we're basically going to talk about as far as the seasons and what's been going on. And there are going to be spoilers as far as, what went on in each season. And I might go in order. I might go out of order because I have been known to go out of order. And that's pretty much how I work things. So I'm going to start with Book of Murder. I know it's kind of odd, but I'm going to start with that one first. First of all, the one thing that I want to talk about, and I'm pretty sure some people may want to talk about this scene, I don't know. Let's talk about Sebastian's so-called death. Now, in Book of Murder, Sebastian and Ciel basically got this little scheme going. So basically what had happened was they set up this whole little charade. Now, whether or not Sebastian knew he was going to be murdered, they act like they did know, but at the same time, I don't think they did know exactly. But anyway, Sebastian's killed. He's lying there on the floor dead. He's got this horrified look in his face, or on his face. And the reaction to Ciel was absolutely perfect. It was exactly what I would expect from him. He's distraught. He's freaking out. He's, emotionally and physically upset. He starts grabbing Sebastian by his collar. He's shaking the body. He's screaming for him to get up. He even goes so far as to start slapping Sebastian across the face to try to get him up. And eventually he's pulled off of Sebastian, and his servants basically tell him he's not coming back. They believe he is really dead. Which, of course, we know he's not dead. He's acting. He's being as still as he can, and he's pretending to be dead. And he knew this. And to me, I was like, well, this is kind of pointless because we know that you're not dead, Sebastian. We have seen you take bullets before. But it was still a very good performance. And it did get a little interesting when they had to go back and undress Sebastian to find out where he had hid the key to his master's bedroom. And as the camera's lifting up and we get to see a little bit more of Sebastian, we don't get to see much. I mean, dude, we don't even get to see like half of his chest. We only get to see from like his neck down. And Sebastian made a comment, and I was really curious because we don't get to see it. Sebastian quoted, "What a humiliating position they have me in." And I'm like, well, are you talking about the fact that you're pretending to be dead and they're undressing you, or are you saying that you're in an embarrassing position as you're being undressed? We really don't get to see it, so God only knows what exactly he was talking about on that. And I'm going to shift now back over to season 1 because there's some things in season 1 we need to address. And one was one that I just saw with Cial looking at his family portrait. They showed both of his parents having dark hair, and we know that's not true. We know his mother had blonde hair. But here's something interesting, guys, and I want anyone else to, if you know any information about the next thing I'm going to talk about, hit it up in the comments below. And before I talk about this particular thing, this is just for fun. Any theories that I talk about Black Butler is just for fun. If I get one right, hey, hit me up with a comment. If I don't get it right, leave those rude comments off my channel because they will be deleted. You know, I do this for fun. I'm not like MatPat. You know, I don't have lots of resources. I just do this for fun. Okay, so now I'm going to address something that has been boggling my mind for a while. I was trying to make a timeline of Black Butler from from when Cial was born to everything that's down the road as far as historical goes. Because the Jack the Ripper case did take place in England, and it was around the 18th century, so I wanted to see if it was closely around Cial's time, and it was. But here's what was interesting. When I asked about Cial's birthday, I was surprised to find out that Cial Phantom Hive has or had a twin brother. Now, this is the question. No one seems to know what the brother's name is. Now, if we're looking at this historically, the firstborn son would have been named after the father. He would have been named, what was his dad's name? Vincent. So the first child would have been named Vincent II, and then the youngest one would have been named Cial. So the question is here, guys, and I did watch Book of Circus, and I did notice something, and if you guys want to rewatch it, it's a small scene, but if you watch carefully, there's a little boy that looks just like young Cial on the sacrifice altar, and he's killed. And then we see Cial in the cage when he meets Sebastian. Now, the question is, was the little boy in the cage Cial? Or was the little boy in the sacrifice table Cial? I highly doubt his parents would have named their twin children the same name. That's very complicated and not very creative. Excuse me. So there's that. The other thing in that is that I believe Sebastian might have erased his memory, because whenever we see Cial flashing back to his childhood, we always see him and his parents. We never see him and his little brother. Now, it's possible that maybe the little brother was sick and weakly, so he couldn't do a lot of things, but we would have still seen some memories of Cial and his little brother. But, again, this is all theory. There's no concrete evidence of this. Now, I'm also going to address some things about the Reapers that I got wrong, and I thought I made a corrected video of it. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But as far as William and Growl goes, it's actually in reverse. Growl was the more intelligent one. He graduated slightly higher than William. But Growl was missing, like, I think one credential or something. And William had passed that credential, and he was slightly a bit lower than Growl. So that's why they stuck those two together to kind of, you know, balance that out. But the other thing, I have to sneeze, and I'm trying not to, because I don't want to sneeze on cam. So, I'm sorry. So, with that being said, with the Reapers, let's talk a little bit about Undertaker. Now, Undertaker supposedly is supposed to be the first Grim Reaper. So, So he's kind of like, you know, the leader. He's the one that makes maybe all the big decisions, but yet he chooses to work in the human realm. Why, he never really made that clear. And this is where I'm going to get into some spoilers down the road as we're going to then talk about Book of Atlanta. But let's talk about the ending of season 2. This is where I had gotten so confused. I didn't know what was going on, and I was really upset that when season 3 came out, it wasn't, you know, adding together, and I had thought maybe season 3, Book of Circus, was a prequel in between one. And I was actually wrong. According to a lot of fans, the ending of season 2, the ending of season 2, where Xiao became a demon, is totally false. That was just, according to fans, that was just thrown in there. It never happened in the mangas, so why they throw it in there, I don't know. I don't know if they thought maybe that would be a good twist ending or what they were thinking. But fans have told me that the ending of season 2 was just an add-on, which would make sense because when you look at Book of Circus, it does say season 3 on it. And I think Book of Murder just says OVA to it. I could be wrong. But, oh, excuse me. Excuse me, I need to get some water. So, with that being said, there is one character I have not talked about, and I think he deserves a little talk. Let's talk about Pluto. I loved Pluto. I thought his character was so cute. And, you know, I've seen demon hounds before, you know, like in Inuyasha and stuff like that. But what I loved about Pluto, he kept to his true nature. He was a demon hound. He was a dog. And even if he was in his human form, he still acted like a dog. And I loved that. I found it so funny that they would try to put him in clothes and, you know, he would run away and he would jump on people and he would lick their faces and he would bark and he did all the things that dogs did. And I just thought that was so cute of Pluto. And I loved it when Finny would take him for walks. I thought it was, you know, it was so cute. And I was very sad to see Pluto was killed in, I think it was the ending of season 2? It was 2? I think it was 2. It was 2 or 1. It was during the big fire in England. But I was really upset that we lost Pluto because I thought that he could have been a good little add-on to the series. It's the same thing with Claude. We all know how much I love talking about Claude. Not as much as Growl, but we'll get to him in a minute. But with Claude, I felt that the fight between Claude and Sebastian was unfair. I don't like the fact that Claude was killed. If they managed to turn Ciel into a demon when he wasn't supposed to be, we could have had Claude just get injured, and Claude could have just ran away and, you know, healed up his wounds, and we could have brought him back in Book of Murder. That would have been really cool to have him in that little scene. But unfortunately, no, Claude's gone, and there's nothing we can do about it. Now, talking about Alois Transy, which you guys know I don't like Alois for several reasons, but let's do a little comparisons between Alois and Ciel. Yes, Alois had a bad life. He lost his mother, he lost his village, and eventually he lost his little brother, which I don't know if that was his actual brother or if that was just a metaphor. But he lost his brother. And he then takes the role of acting like he's a nobleman when he's not. Now let's look at Ciel. Yeah, Ciel lost the same amount. He lost his mother, he lost his father, and he lost his little brother. But if you look at both of them, Ciel still, even though he had lost everything, he took it upon himself to be the adult, to run the business, to keep the manor going, to keep his company going, and all this and that, you know, throwing parties and doing the things he needs to do, where Alois didn't even know how to do any of that. So Alois just acted like, you know, he had hit the lottery and not knowing how to be a proper nobleman. So in a way, I would say I feel bad for Alois, but I really don't. I don't feel bad for him because, as I stated in a previous video, he just acts like a spoiled brat because he doesn't know what it means to be a nobleman. Anyway, let's get off Alois for a minute. I'm trying to think of who I want to talk about next. I guess we could talk about the Reapers, and the one Reaper I really want to talk about, no, it's not Growl this time. I want to talk about Ronald. Now, I didn't know Ronald's name. I actually had to have one of my friends look up his name. I knew what he looked like. I said, yeah, he's got yellow and black hair. And they're like, oh, that's Ronald. And I said, well, what does he do? Well, apparently Ronald works with Growl and William every now and again. Ronald's got a pretty good death sight. He got a push mower. I mean, it's electric, but he's got a push mower. I'm like, damn, you got the short end of the stick there, Ronald. But it works for him. I mean, dude, he rides on it like it's a, I can't think of it right now. But, you know, he rides on it. He rides on it like it's a Segway. But he's a very interesting character, but unfortunately, I don't know much about Ronald because I think he had a very small appearance in one of the OVAs where we just kind of met him briefly. But he kind of reminds me of a combination between William and Growl. He doesn't like to work overtime, which is the one thing that William's always complaining about. But at the same time, he tries to be fun and energetic like Growl. So it's very interesting that he's almost like trying to juggle these two personalities. He's a good character. I just wish that there was more episodes with him in it so we could get to know him just a little bit more. Now, as far as Growl's concerned, he really hasn't changed much, but when it did come to Book of Atlanta, he was just out of this world. Like, he was more energetic than he has ever been, than I've ever seen him be. And it's the same with William. Did not show up until the very end, which I found interesting. Another thing that I want to talk about, and I'm going to switch back to Book of Murder real quick. During Book of Murder, not one of the Reapers showed up. There was 2 confirmed deaths. Not one of them showed up. Growl never showed up. William never showed up. Nobody showed up. And I thought that was kind of interesting because if you remember in Book of Circus, when the Phantom Hive household was being attacked, the Reapers were there. There were some, I believe it was both Growl and Ronald that were there collecting the souls that were being killed by the Phantom Hive servants. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Why did the Reaper show up in Book of Circus collecting the souls, but 2 people that were killed in the Phantom Hive Manor in Book of Murder, they never showed up? It was really weird. I mean, I've seen weirder things, but that just struck me as weird. I'm also going to say in Book of Murder, I thought it was absolutely adorable when Ciel unfortunately was handcuffed to this other man who was just a guest in his house, but due to the fact everyone thought that Ciel had murdered somebody, he was handcuffed to this guy, and the guy is treating Ciel as he would his own little brother. It was so cute. Like, Ciel was kind of like saying, he was remembering when he was a kid and how, the thunder would scare him and he would go and sleep with his parents. And the guy reaches his hand out and he pets Ciel on the head. And Ciel's like, "What are you doing?" And the guy flips out because he forgot that this is an earl. This is somebody who's of high standard, and he's treating him like a child. And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. It's just that I have a little brother around your age." And, Ciel didn't get mad at him. He just kind of smiled. The only time, well, he didn't really get mad, but he did get scared and a little upset, is when the guy did try to take Ciel's eye patch off. But Ciel still was very nice to this guy and, kind of like understanding and didn't really bother him that much. But, just give me a minute. So, with that being said, we can talk a little bit about Book of Atlanta. There are going to be spoilers. I'm just going to say this right now in the video if y'all have stuck with me. Like I said, this is going to be a long video. I want to talk about as much as I can. So, I know I put up a video saying that, in that video I wasn't going to talk about how the zombie breakout happened. But in this video, I am, since we're talking about everything. So, the zombie breakout basically happens when Ciel and Sebastian have to get into this secret society, and unfortunately they have to pull off a ridiculous pose, and Ciel was very embarrassed, very upset, and Sebastian is just laughing his butt off. Like, he is just trying so hard not to show that he's laughing. But I said, Ciel, how can you say that when in season 1 you wore a corset? You dressed up like a girl. How's this worse? All you're doing is striking a pose. You're not having to wear a dress. So what had happened was this doctor got a hold of this device, to bring back the dead. Well, he did bring back the dead. But unfortunately, when he brought back the dead, the girl, immediately when she was sitting up in the coffin, her mother hugged her, and of course, she was a zombie. And she, bit her mom. And that's when the shit starts going down. And of course, Sebastian and them kill those ones. Well, they went to this one part of the cargo hold, and there was more of them. And of course, they have to fight those off. And they did it really nicely. Hold on. So, with that being said, they found out there was another part of the ship, a larger part of the cargo hold, and there was 10 times more than what they had previously fought through. And it's very interesting because, as I've said, through this whole battle, you are getting to see flashbacks. And there is a scene, and I am going to talk about it in its entirety, of when Sebastian and Ciel did form the contract, how they, worked with each other, how Ciel told Sebastian, "You cannot be using those kinds of powers." And Sebastian said, "You don't expect me to use all my talents on human stuff." He's like, "Yeah." And so Sebastian had to learn how to do human things without doing too much of his own magic. And there was a scene where when they got home, Ciel being in that dirty, dingy cage, he was filthy. He was dirty. He had cuts on him. And Sebastian who really doesn't know temperatures of water, did kind of scold this poor kid. But what made matters worse is Sebastian's trying to wash this kid, and Ciel is, kind of having a fit about it. And Sebastian takes his hand and grabbed Ciel by the chin and said, what did he say? He said, "This is no time for your stubbornness. One little cut open can welcome all sorts of germs and bacteria, and that is death for your kind, because humans are weak." And I'm like, good Lord, Sebastian, calm down. I mean, the poor kid is just, but he had a point. Now, that's not to say that Sebastian wasn't being disciplined himself. And they were showing how when Ciel got something wrong, he was disciplined by Sebastian. There was an incident where he was doing some homework and he didn't get an answer right. And Sebastian said, "Let me see your hands." And Ciel would put his hands out and Sebastian cracked a whip on him. Well, there was a scene where Sebastian was making tea for Ciel. He made it weak. And Ciel said to Sebastian, "Let me see your hands." And he pours that hot tea in Sebastian's hands. So they did play off each other quite nicely. And what made it even more interesting is that we could see how it works with these two. But I think the other thing I need to talk about, and I really don't want to talk about it because I love The Undertaker so much, but I feel that it needs to be said. The Undertaker was the reason for the zombie breakout. He found a way to manipulate or fix someone's lifespan, so to speak. Because he wanted, first of all, I think he was just bored, but he also wanted to see how these soulless humans would react. Kind of like, I think he actually said someone actually wanted an army of the undead to see how they would fight against humans. And it really upset me because I had always liked The Undertaker, and to see him like this, it really made me question, what characters now we can and cannot trust. And it was interesting because as those flashbacks I told you with Sebastian and Ciel, that was actually through Sebastian himself. Sebastian had got stabbed by the Undertaker's weapon, which, was an old school scythe. And we get to see Sebastian's memories, but we only see him with Ciel. We don't see him prior to that. But, and they do say how Sebastian got his name. Ciel basically was holding on to his tailcoat and asked him, "What's your name?" And he said, "That is for you to pick." So Ciel said, "I'm going to call you Sebastian." And Sebastian said, "May I ask what was the inspiration for this name?" And Ciel said, "Well, that was the name of my dog." And Sebastian didn't like that. But it is what it is. So that's pretty much what you all get to see with Book of Atlanta. And I am going to touch upon Elizabeth real quick, even though she annoys me. In Book of Atlanta, you do get to find out that Elizabeth is an excellent swordsman, which the scene to me raised more questions than it did answers, because in the scene she's on the ground, she's about ready to get devoured by zombies, and poor Ciel ran out of bullets because he kind of tripped and sprained his leg, poor baby. And right when she's about ready to get killed, she pulls out these double-bladed swords, well, just two swords, and she's doing like this aerial, like ballerina kill style, And to her, she didn't want to be like that. And I'm like, well, first of all, this makes no sense. A, where did you hide the swords? And B, why does it matter? And I will say this, I don't like her. She absolutely annoys me. I think the only female character I liked in this show, honestly, was Mayrin. Because Mayrin is the kind that you really don't know what's going on. She plays, and you gotta watch it in Book of Murder if you pay real close attention. In Book of Murder, Mayrin, she puts on this fake voice, but when she runs outside in the rain with the other two, she goes from this fake voice to her real voice, and it's a little deeper, and she takes off her glasses. So she definitely knows how to play the role of, I'm just the ditzy servant, I don't know what I'm doing, but she really does. Where Elizabeth is just a whole. Elizabeth is just basically all the sugar and frosting, and there's nothing to counteract it. It's just way too sweet. There's nothing more you can do with her. Oh, excuse me. So there's that. Now, the other thing that I want to touch upon is what really happened to Cial's parents, and did Cial have a little brother, and is the Cial that we know and love, is that really his name, or did he take the name of his dead little brother? Because I'm pretty sure it's the little brother that was killed and not the older brother. But then again, they're identical twins, so it would be really hard to tell who was who, especially if they're identical. But with that being said, one could also argue that maybe the fire was started by the cult. You know the one I'm talking about, the one in Book of Circus. We know that one guy was obsessed with the Phantom High family when he met Cial and his father. He was obsessed with them because of their quote-unquote beauty. So, who's to say that this cult was not the ones that were responsible? But then again, if they were responsible, I think Sebastian would have said something or would have found something out. Which leads me to another thing that I'm going to point out, is that if William did not stop Growl, the season would have been over. Because Growl was willing to tell Cial confirmation or information that he was not supposed to know, but Growl was going to tell Cial who killed his parents. And if you rewatch that carefully, look at Sebastian's face. He gets kind of scared. He gets nervous. And the other thing I want to point out, Lau and that woman that he's always with, you know the one I'm talking about, the one that never really talks, and she wears short clothes and she wears tight clothes and she's always showing herself off. Yeah, that's his sister. Like, what? When did Lau have a sister, and why did we not find out until Book of Murder? Yeah, you don't find out that's Lau's sister until Book of Murder, which honestly to me makes no sense at all. We should have at least had a little hint that they were brother and sister. But I really want to find out where this series is going. As I've talked before, that Sebastian is the first demon. He's the eldest demon. He's the strongest demon. I have another theory on that, guys. And I don't know if it's true. I'm just going off from what I've seen. But I don't think Sebastian's truly a demon. I actually think Sebastian is the devil himself. Because it would make more sense. When the cultists were trying to summon him, they were using the devil's pentagram. And usually when you want to summon the devil, you have to use, quote-unquote, a human sacrifice. And mind you that Sebastian is very seductive. If he knows that somebody is kind of interested in him and he can get information from them, he'll seduce them very quickly. It doesn't take a lot for him. He's got powers that other demons don't, as far as we know. And as I said before, when he was fighting Angela, she was flat out terrified. He told Ciel not to look. I think that's because Sebastian must have figured that if Ciel ever saw him in his true form, Ciel would be so traumatized that his soul would be messed up to where Sebastian wouldn't be able to eat it. I don't know. I'm just going by from what I've seen and how Sebastian acts, and the fact that he seems to know a little too much about certain things, considering we don't know how old he is. Which is true. We don't know. And it would be very interesting if down the road, if there is another one that follows Book of Atlanta, that we could find out more information about Sebastian. But even Ciel said that he didn't know. In Book of Murder, when they were going through Sebastian's room, Ciel even said, I don't know. I just found him one day. So there's that. And I guess I'm also going to talk a little bit about the servants. I want to talk a little bit about Bodroy and Finney. I've already talked about Mayrin. I absolutely adore Finney. I think he is just so cute. He's so lovable. He tries so hard, but he does mess up. You know, he's a little stronger than what he should be. He doesn't know how to master his strength, and he does kind of make a mess. But he keeps trying. It's the same with Bardroy. You know, Bardroy tries to cook. He tries to do everything, but he messes up too because he's not a cook. He was a soldier. And, you know, that's something that he would not expect to know how to do. But these three just make it so much more lovable. They don't give up. They keep doing what they need to do. And honestly, I could not see them not getting rid of either one of them. They're just so nice. And the fact now that we have Snake in the group just makes it better. And I will say, you guys got to see, Ciel gave Snake such the most wonderful speech that I've ever heard him say. Whether he meant it or not, it touched Snake to where Snake at least has a place to call home. He's got food. He's got a roof over his head. He's got people that he can actually make friends with. Even though Ciel did try to say to him, you know, your friends, maybe I am responsible for your friends disappearing, but they were taking children away from their families. And that is something that I did say, you know, they kind of got what they deserved, especially when they were storming the Phantom Hive Manor. They had no idea that this manor was pretty much armed to the teeth, you know. And I guess I also want to talk about the two new, I can't even remember their names. I know one of them's called Gray, but he's an interesting character himself. I don't know if we're going to see more of them or less of them. I don't know. I'm actually getting kind of tired. I don't know if I can continue talking about all this. This is a pretty long video right now. But, as I said before, and I'll say this again, guys, if you guys know if there's any other seasons to Black Butler, ones that I don't have, please let me know in the comment section. I would really appreciate it. I love this series. You know, I had a day where I was cleaning house with my cleaning lady that comes over, and I decided that I was going to put the season 1 and season 2 or no, it was season 1 in Book of Circus, the soundtrack on as we're cleaning house, and she said, that's really pretty. What's this from? She was talking about the music, and I said, oh, it's actually from an anime. She thought it was from an actual legit opera. And I said, no, it's actually from an anime. And that's the one thing that I love about Black Butler. They pick the best music to go along with each scene. And not only that, but the music pulls you into that time. And it really makes you feel like you're physically there. And I know I'm going to sound crazy when I say this, guys, but it would be so nice if we could have a Black Butler VR. Wouldn't that be fun? Where it's just a game where you're in the Phantom Hive Manor and you are playing as Ciel, and you can look around the manor, you can call for Sebastian, you can go on missions. I mean, that would be so fun. I swear, if they made that into a game and it was Black Butler VR, I would buy a VR set just for that game. But I don't think they would do that, but I would love for that to happen. I know I said I was going to talk quite a bit through this whole thing, but I'm seeing the runtime now, guys, and I think, and I hope you guys are satisfied for the runtime that I have, because it's a big one. And I'm not going to do any editing. I'm not going to splice things around because I'm kind of tired and it's all old footage. It's nothing new. It's just me talking over stuff. So I'm just going to say it right here, right now. This is this is Chihaya Moondragon. And as always, I will see you in the next anime. Bye-bye. Oh, there's poor Growl. I'm sorry. I know I said bye-bye, but I feel so bad for Growl. He tries so hard. Okay, guys. Bye-bye.